Alright YouTube, I usually don't make morning videos, but this deserves to be spoken of because it's yet another example of the ongoing occult war against Hillary Clinton and her stupidity. Clinton apparently was at the 9/11 memorial, and this framed, of course, in the context of being just a day after her campaign, making remarks like, oh, Donald Trump will lead to more 9/11s, he'll cause wars, which is kind of dumb. She was at the 9/11 memorial, of course, to pay respect. And apparently she grew faint, she lost a shoe and had to be helped into her van. She had a medical episode, that's what's being reported. Now, this is also framed in the context of her planning to apparently take 5 days off from campaigning. Now, why would somebody who's locked in a tight race with their opponent take any time off from campaigning whatsoever unless they are physically unable to continue and they need to seek medical treatment for something that's occurring in their life? The answer is they probably wouldn't. I can understand, for instance, like Chelsea Clinton's going through a divorce. Okay, take a break from campaigning. Bubba Bill gets sick. Some other major, her third mansion burns to the ground. She has to go and, I guess, hire an architect to build a new one or something like that. I can understand taking a couple days off from campaigning for such a thing. But why 5 days randomly without any further explanation as to the purpose? And for her to have apparently a very public medical episode at the 9/11 memorial, no less, shows she can't operate under stress. I think what's happening, medically speaking, if you're just going to look at the secular, she's being triggered by stressful situations. Large crowds, lot of noise, worrying about having to give an impromptu speech or maybe being questioned by the press. Of course, she keeps them at an arm's distance. In an occult sense, though, there are literally tens of thousands of people, I've already explained this, flinging around hexes and curses, many without even realizing they're doing it. Magic can be as simple as speaking or wishing something in any context. That's a form of occultism. It's a form of psychological suggestion. Memetics is an operation as well for the first time. Well, technically the second time, 2012. Memetics was applied to Ron Paul mostly. There were a huge number, millions of people, tech-literate younger individuals, spreading around the Ron Paul, like the Doom Paul memes and things like that. And his support was rather large. The Republican Party essentially cursed itself, both literally and figuratively, by completely lambasting Ron Paul. They ignored him, they did the best that they could to shove him aside. When it came time for the convention, they wouldn't even let him take the floor to give, even a 2-minute speech. And it pissed millions of people off. This is one of the main reasons why they really got screwed in the 2012 election. This time around, of course, Trump has gotten the nomination of his party, has the support of many millions of people, and Clinton reaped additional disaster, much with the Reno speech, when she targeted the alt-right. And she targeted the internet horde of evil trolls, many of which aren't even alt-righters. A lot of them are libertarians like myself, whether occultists or not. When she targeted them, she opened the floodgate of negativity towards herself. She heaped hexes upon herself, essentially, if you wanted to describe it in simplistic terms. She did it again with her basket of deplorables comment. She actually expanded it even further. It's worse now. With the Reno speech, a lot of people who would be in support of Trump, they too didn't know what the alt-right was, so it didn't really have any effect upon them. It was some tens or maybe a couple 100,000 people, some of which aren't even in the United States, don't really care maybe about the U.S. election as much. And these individuals, all their pent-up negativity was suddenly aimed, fixated upon this one person, who then has to become aware of the fact that people, in their reaction, which is very public, it's on the internet, it's not like she can't read through Twitter or watch YouTube videos or visit a Facebook page. It was almost universally negative outside of her very strong core of supporters, which isn't, let's say, that large. So, maybe 10, 20 million people. It's her core of support. It's far smaller than Trump's main core of support. It's probably smaller than Johnson's hardened core of support at this point. It's actually very funny. She might be third when it comes to those who actually not only dislike the other candidates, but like their own candidate. I think she's running in third there, and in danger of running in fourth behind somebody like Jill Stein at this point. But with her basket of deplorables comment, she actually expanded the number of people that she was directly assaulting. With the alt-right speech, the reason why it was a mistake, I'll analyze this both from the secular, completely secular political point of view. She was attacking real citizens as opposed to her opponent with the Reno speech. That's why it was a fumble. She did the same thing, only several orders of magnitude worse, with her basket of deplorables comment. Instead of, oh, well, there's this group of a few thousand trolls on the internet, they're like Nazis and stuff, and they're evil and despicable. Those are U.S. citizens that she's targeting there. That's a mistake, instead of going after Trump. With that, she heaped negativity upon herself. She made herself sicker, as though she wasn't already mentally not all there anyway, but let's just cut to the chase here. With the basket of deplorables comment, though, she's expanding that few thousand or few tens of thousands of trolls, so-called, which happens to be anyone under an ideology she happens not to like, or her core fans happen not to like, to tens of millions of people. So if you think that the problems in her campaign were caused either on a political or an occult basis after the Reno speech, either by raising the secular ire of the masses or the occult ire of those who engage in memetics or in any form of magic, often without understanding that they are, then how much more would her recent comments cause her harm? So yeah, she had a medical episode at the 9/11 memorial, had to leave early, had to be carried practically to her van, and was apparently ready to faint. This is not an individual who is healthy. I hate normal, healthy individuals do not suddenly have fainting spells for no reason. It's just, that's nonsense. It doesn't happen. If she's fainting, it's probably some problem with her heart, some problem with her brain, some combination of the two, or maybe she's just in general a weak old crone. It doesn't matter what the cause is. She's not healthy. What, she goes to some high-level meeting where she's being wheedled by Vladimir Putin and the Chinese premier and or something like that, or North Korea's threatening to nuke DC or something. She's having a meeting in a bunker somewhere, and she just faints randomly from the stress? Is that the sort of person that anybody wants to command the military of their nation? Somebody who has a penchant for randomly throwing fits of rage? Maybe it's blood pressure related. Maybe she's got like constant high blood pressure problems. That's why she's so like angry all the time. And suddenly she just had this really serene thought. Her blood pressure plummeted. She's like, whoa, my head's spinning. And, you know, she almost fell down. She was like faint or something. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's the pills that they give her. Maybe it's the injections that they probably give her. Who fucking knows? Regardless, her health problems are growing worse because millions of people now, it's no longer tens or hundreds of thousands like after Reno. That was effective enough. Now it's millions or tens of millions of people are all directing their wrath at her at the same time. That takes a psychological toll. It doesn't matter how successful and wealthy and respected by certain partisan groups a person is. If they've got millions of people constantly criticizing them, calling them the scum of the earth, it begins to take a psychological toll upon them. Even if you don't believe in magic whatsoever, you have to admit. Do you think she doesn't see these things online, or at least through her staff? Do you think they don't mention some of the things that are said to her? Do you think that deep inside, with what little bit of Hillary Clinton is still human, still has, I guess, a soul or a mentality, that she doesn't respond on some level to these things? I think she does. So yeah, the curses continue. The hexes continue. She's totally fucked up at this point. After Reno, it was bad enough. Now she makes her basket case deplorable comments, and all of a sudden she's having fainting spells, and probably one of the greatest opportunities for her to grandstand would be at the 9/11 memorial. Give a quick speech. Oh, well, this is why we need to look forward. We need to forsake the ideologies of bigotry because that's what caused this, and Trump was here and he's embezzling money or something. You know, she could launch off into a diatribe. She could probably make it stick. Now she's lost that opportunity. probably the only opportunity before the debates to bolster her support. Going into the debates, I would think that facing off against Donald Trump is going to be more stressful than standing around at a fairly nice, quiet, museum-style memorial. How the hell is she supposed to pull that one off? She had enough problems at the debates with a captive audience that was 99% on her side against 3 opponents nobody cared about and 1 opponent who refused to attack her. What do you think's going to happen when she has nobody else there up on stage to console her or help shield her from any form of attacks against somebody who made mincemeat out of half a dozen different people at his own debates? It's going to be a wash, probably. People saying, oh, Hillary will prevail. I don't think so. I think that she's too bound up with mental illness, physical problems, and with the general wrath of tens of millions of people at this point to, I think she's barely functioning. She's taking time off campaigning. You know, it's not even 2 months before the general election is held. And she's taking almost a week off from campaigning. She's not doing that because she's getting cocky and she thinks, oh, well, I've got this in the bag. Nothing, I think, could be further from the truth if she has any sense at all. Now, maybe I'm giving her too much credit for intelligence here, but I would like to think that somebody who's been in the position she is at least of above average intelligence, even if she is demented. She's not stupid enough to think that she's actually reliably reading. They had a poll out putting Trump up 10 points in New Mexico. And this one time, I'm compelled to believe that's probably not an outlier. It's probably reality. I think he may have just grabbed up New Mexico, which would be astonishing, and this really hurts her campaign chances. But yeah, keep the memetics coming, keep the memes pumping out, because it's obviously having an effect, and if you, for one moment, after having obtained something with magic, if you then deny the power of magic, you will have lost everything that you've obtained. That's about all. Peace out.